Good evening, welcome wherever you're watching from. Welcome. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to bring my camera on because what we're going to talk about is very important, and I need my camera to be on. Right. I think it is it is basically better now. It is better now. Okay, guys, welcome to this program. Welcome to this program. Today we are going to talk about the downward force, the so-called downward force. Just like we all are aware that the issue of gravity and the model of flat earth has been the topic, a very intriguing topic over century, not just over decades or over the years, over centuries, because if we think about our planet Earth, we are seeing, our planet Earth is visible to us inside our planet Earth, but we are not able to decipher exactly the shape of our planet Earth. The reason being that many of the new hypotheses that came up in the 16th century suggest that we are living on a globe. Now we are living on a globe, three-dimensional globe, upside and down. Now, but the ancient people, the ancient Egyptians were using geocentric knowledge, which actually suggested that we are living on a flat plane. On a flat plane in the absence of gravity. Right now, we are actually using the heliocentric model, which was invented or implemented in 16th century. Now, we are going back in time. And I want you to know that going back in time, thank you very much, Odo Ejike. I want you to understand that going back in time, we are going to revisit all these things that we are given, all the knowledge that we were given, and everything that we learned in our education system. We are going to revisit all of them. And that's exactly what I am here to do with you right now. Because we are going to actually make you understand that what we call gravity, or what they called gravity, is not necessarily a gravity. It is not necessarily a force. But because of the malevolent who does not want people to understand knowledge or to embrace knowledge for what it is they decided to turn everything upside down. They decided to create an illusion. They decided to indoctrinate all of us. But today, I am so excited that I have, figured out, I have been able to figure out, how to challenge this hypothesis, including the theory of Albert Einstein, how to challenge it. Because just like I made earlier post that Albert Einstein actually, created a construct on a natural phenomenon that he barely understood. That's exactly, we are told that Einstein is the most, one of the most intelligent people in the field of science, and I am not doubting that. I am not doubting that. I idolize him, and I love him for his work. He did a lot of good job, but there is something I discovered in the theory of Albert Einstein. Not only Albert Einstein, because I also compared his theory and the theory that of Isaac Newton. And I discovered some loopholes. I discovered that there is something missing in those theories. Why are they missing? Are they missing because they were not aware of this natural phenomenon, or are they missing because they were not actually, or they are part of the indoctrinator? Because it is only two things that are involved. It is either they are trying to define the natural phenomenon that they are not aware of, or that they are part of the indoctrinator. That's why they created such illusion that or puzzles that we cannot solve, because the puzzles is incomplete and the puzzle does not make sense. Even in a mathematical equation, we can never solve that puzzle because it does not make sense. Now let me go to it. The first theory, or the first and the last theory, because I'm only going to use one theory of Albert Einstein to define the existence of this so-called downward force, gravity, aka. Now let's go there. Albert Einstein theory on general relativity, which suggests that it suggested that the mass of Earth created a curvature in the space-time. That's why there is a downward force. Did you hear that? The mass of Earth created a curvature in the space-time. That's why there is a downward force. But Einstein forgets that everything in space is basically in a quantum state. Everything we see in the space is basically in a quantum state. And some of these quantum states, they are in a superposition. Therefore, in the space-time, or what's the so-called space-time, because he combined our three-dimensional space plus the space-time, he called them a four-dimensional space, which he combined them and called them a space-time. Now, in the space, there is no, what we call mass, weight, it does not apply in the space. In space, what we call up, down, side, or the other side, it doesn't apply. In space, everything is in a quantum state, in superposition. That's why everything that is found in space, it is like taking up, no matter how, the mass of the object, no matter the weight of the object, it is like taking it and placing it on the ground zero of Earth. In space, there is nothing that applies. Weight does not apply. Mass does not apply in space. So there is no way the mass of Earth can create the curvature that can create a curvature in space-time. It is not possible. There is nothing that can bend the space-time. Nothing can create a curvature in a space-time, because space, mass, weight does not apply. That's why everything is actually, floating. If we understand the quantum theory or quantum mechanics, you will know that in quantum mechanics, especially that those objects that are in superposition, they're neither here or there. And I believe if you go out of space right now, you will not see the planet Earth. You will not see the planet Earth because it is in a superposition. And that's why planet Earth is actually connected to every other planet within the galaxy, because they are neither here nor there. But remember that there are planets in our galaxy that is actually light years apart from planet Earth, but they are connected. This is called a quantum entanglement. In space, everything in space, there is no solid basically in space. That's why space-time can be bent in order to create a shortcut, because there is no solid in quantum state. That's why when we look at our planet Earth in existing in space, there are possibilities that if you travel in space, which is not possible, and I am going to tell you the reason why traveling out of space is not possible. I am going to tell you, and you are going to actually, do your own research. And basically what we are doing here, it is not for those who believe in the mainstream, because what we are doing here, the hypothesis that I am giving you right now, you will not find it in Google. You will not find it in mainstream. This hypothesis only exists here and now. And this hypothesis will come to existence at some point. It will definitely come to existence, and it will be added into our education curriculum. It does not matter how long it takes, but this hypothesis exists only here. That you are hearing it. You are actually blessed to hear this hypothesis, because this is the reality of our existence, unbiased, unadulterated. These people who, we've been hearing about people going into space, right? Going out in space, going to look for whether they will discover life or not. My hypothesis suggests that there is no one who has ever gone out of space. To an extent, it was not just my hypothesis. When I figured this out, what actually drove me to actually figure this out was Albert Einstein's theory on the general relativity, which he suggests that the mass of Earth created a curvature in the space-time. That's why anything that goes up comes down. But Einstein forgot that there is no up, there is no down in space. There is no up, there is no down in space. Everything remains, remain floating, free fall, everything. Because there is no up, there is no side, there is no down in space. No matter the mass of an object in space, it will never bend the time. It will never actually, create a curvature in the space. No, because mass, weight does not apply in a quantum state. Our space is in a quantum state. Many things in our space are in a superposition. And in superposition, that's why a planet that is light years apart from planet Earth, they are still communicating with each other. They are still communicating with each other. And that's when we talk about quantum entanglement. If we understand quantum entanglement, a planet that is light years from Earth, we can actually, they are actually communicating with planet Earth. They are light years apart. The speed of light is actually the fastest speed in the planet Earth. Light years. If you use speed of light, it takes you years to get to those planets. Look at that. But they are actually still connected to planet Earth because there is interconnectedness, the quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement, it is where we can actually bend time. If planet Earth is here, or if planet Earth is here because we're using a flat Earth model, this is planet Earth, this is a planet Mars, or this is Venus that is actually maybe light years apart from planet Earth, or Pluto that is light years apart from planet Earth. If we want to actually get to them, instead of traveling from this point to another, we bend the time. What is called quantum entanglement. You see, let's actually do this. You see this? Instead of us trying to travel from here, I don't know why it is not. Okay, let me try to remove the topic, because I want you to see what I'm doing for a moment. Now, you see this? Instead of traveling from here to here, we do this. We bend the time. Now, instead of doing this, you make a hole here. You create a hole here. Now, instead of going around, you just use this hole to enter. That is quantum entanglement. Everything within our space are in a superposition. They are connected to each other one way or the other, which means in the space, distance is not a barrier. In space, mass cannot bend the space-time. In space, there is no distance, there is no up, there is no down. But now, coming back to our topic, which suggests that there is no existence of gravity. Gravity is not the reason why when we jump up, we fall down. Gravity is not the reason why when you accelerate something up, it goes down. It is not as a result of gravity. And the reason why I can categorically tell you that it is not as a result of gravity, it is because in space, what we have here, planet Earth is in a quantum state. Like I was saying, I was trying to say something before it actually skipped my mind. After I figured this out, the whole week I've been working on this. Like even last night, I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep last night. Trying to understand this. Because I even to an extent that even my subconsciousness had to go out of space to see. People believe that they had gone to space. But if you go out of space, you cannot see planet Earth at the back. No, you can't. Because it is in a superposition. You can't. So those who say they have gone out of space, it is not possible. I don't even think if you go out of space, you will find your way back. You can't go out of space. It is impossible. And I am going to prove it to you. We can go to other planets, but through the gateways, through the ocean gate, but not through the space. Because space does not, there is no traveling out of space. Like we actually correlated, the rainbow. We talked about the rainbow, how rainbow signifies different planets within our galaxy. How the colors of rainbow signifies the sky colors of these different planets in our universe. Even though the planet Mars, the sky color of the planet Mars, the sky might be red, that does not mean that planet Mars is not a habitable place. It does not mean it is not a habitable place. No matter how much they show us planet Mars to be like in a place that is uninhabitable, it is not the truth. But that is a topic for another day. So what we are talking about right now is that we are talking about the non-existence of gravity. Non-existence of gravity. Because in my hypothesis, gravity does not exist. It does not exist because in space, there is no up, there is no down. Therefore, everything stays afloat. Everything stays afloat. Which the present or the current model we are using suggests that in space there is what they call microgravity, which creates, free fall. They call it microgravity, create free fall, that you keep on moving. So, but in my own hypothesis, there is no gravity because space does not have up, does not have down, does not have sides. Everything is in a superposition. Right now, look at it. The reason why in our planet Earth there is up, there is down, it's because, let me show you something. I'm going to show you something. Let me show you something with these glasses. You see, when we have this, let's call here, our environment, let's call it out of space. For lack of having something better to show you, we call this environment out of space. And out of space, everything is applicable out of space. Out of space, this can float. This can float out of space. But immediately I throw it here and close it. It is no longer in space. It will behave differently because it is not exposed anymore to the atmospheric condition of space. So that is planet Earth. That's why in planet Earth we have up, we have down. And there is no force acting on up and down because it is just a natural phenomenon immediately when you are no longer exposed in space, your behavior changes. Your behavior changes and behavior of every other thing changes. So it is not force. You can call it emotion. Emotion that is acting on planet Earth. Which created inside here now, because it's no longer exposed to out of space, there is up, there is down. There is up, there is down. That's what is actually happening in our planet Earth. Because when we look at our planet Earth today, you will understand that the planet Earth is enclosed space. We are enclosed. We are not exposed to the space-time anymore. We are closed off space. Now let me give you another example. Remember that in our planet Earth, everywhere is exposed to oxygen. Every area of our planet Earth is exposed to oxygen. Think about it. If everywhere is exposed to oxygen, immediately when you find a tank, and you go inside the tank, and the tank is still open, you are still exposed to oxygen, right? But immediately when you seal the tank is no longer exposed to the atmosphere of planet Earth. Everything inside the tank will start behaving differently because they are no longer exposed to the atmospheric condition of Earth. So they create their own atmosphere. It does not mean there is a force acting upon those things to behave differently, but it is a different atmosphere. That's why they will behave differently. It is like taking out a fish from water, throwing a fish into a fish tank, pouring it water, full of water. The fish will still be alive if the fish tank has a place where they will still experience the atmosphere of Earth. But immediately when you seal the tank, even though there is water there, the fish will actually suffocate because it is no longer exposed to the atmosphere of Earth. So that's why our planet Earth is sealed off from the atmosphere of space. We are not experiencing space-time, just like Albert Einstein suggested in his general theory of relativity. We are no longer exposed to the space-time. Therefore, there is no longer, will I call it buoyancy, something that allows you to float. So, weight and mass is applicable on planet Earth because we are closed off from the space. Therefore, everything behaves differently. And what goes up comes down because of the motion and the mass of the object that goes up The mass will determine how fast it will come down. So it is not gravity acting upon it. It is not acting on gravity. In a flat earth model, gravity cannot exist. Reason being, it is not gravity holding, anything in the orbit. This is what you call the dark matter. The dark matter. That's why everything in the space is in a quantum state. In a quantum state. That is it. Because the reason why I am so keen in trying to actually, debunk this indoctrination, it is because in the ancient Egyptian, in the ancient Kemet or the ancient Egyptians, they knew that we are living in a flat plane with a dome, that actually we are in an enclosed space. Earth is enclosed space. We are trapped here. We cannot go out of space. The people who say they go to space, they are basically beneath the firmament. Remember that you can travel far up. When you travel further up, the atmosphere or the cloud will actually cover you, that the people in the ground zero will no longer have a view of what's going on there. Does not mean that you have actually, gone out of the firmament. You have not gone out of the firmament. You are just still within atmosphere, within Earth. So no one leaves Earth through the space. It is not possible. But we can go to other planets through the ocean gate. And I believe Bermuda Triangle is one of the gates. I believe Bermuda Triangle is one of the gates. The reason why I am actually, suggesting this is that because we have up and down in planet Earth, which does not exist in space. Why is that? And I gave you example of throwing or locking something up from the atmosphere of Earth. They will lack oxygen, they will die, because they are no longer exposed to that atmosphere that they are used to. So, because you close them up, you sealed it. Once you sealed it, it is a new place. It is a new atmosphere. That's why the things inside here will behave differently. Now, once you expose them to the atmosphere of Earth, they behave the same way that the atmosphere of Earth allow them to behave. Remember that in space there is no wind. In space, everything in space is actually, like in a gaseous state. Gaseous state. In space. That's why it is a quantum state. Things that exist in space in superposition. And that is where there is quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement. And I believe the moon and the sun are in superposition. But they will never agree with us. They will never want to actually re-look into this. And if they do not want to re-look into this, remember, it is because they have established a business venture which they use to indoctrinate you and I, our children, all the time, so that they will be making money out of us. The plane have to now go longer distance to connect to where they are going, because they claim they are actually going on the curvature of Earth. And Einstein now tells us that the general relativity the theory of general relativity, that the mass of Earth bent the space-time or created a curvature in a space-time. That's when they created a theory like this. That's when they created a theory such as this. A theory such as this. Therefore, anything that goes in fall because the mass of Earth warped the space-time. But Einstein forgot that the mass of Earth does not apply in space. Mass and weight does not apply in space. That's one thing Uncle Albert Einstein forgot. Because if he says that the mass of Earth created a curvature in a space-time, that means Einstein believed that the mass is applicable, or the mass and weight is applicable in space, which is wrong. It is not applicable. If Einstein say that, if he told us that Earth is closed off. This is Earth. Let's use this as Earth. And this is us in Earth. When we go down, when we go up, we fall down. But in space, when we go up, we stay up. But in Earth, when we go up, we fall down because we are closed off from space. What you see up there is not just atmospheric condition or atmosphere. What we see up there, it's a firmament, the dome of Earth, which is depicted in Antikythera, the first analog computer that ever existed. It depicted that dome of Earth. The origin of mechanics, which was used to calculate the lunar cycle, depicted that dome of Earth. Your wall clock, the glass that covers your wall clock on top, is depicting that dome of Earth. The compass that you use in the ancient time to navigate your way, the glass on top of it depicts that dome of Earth. But now, for you to understand exactly what's going on, it is that we are in enclosed space, which is called our planet Earth. We are no longer exposed to the space-time. Where mass and weight does not apply. Where up and down does not apply. That's why everything stays afloat in space. Because mass, weight, up, down does not apply. Now immediately when you go into a drum and seal it in space. The drum in space, you seal it up like this. That means up and down will apply because you can no longer feel the space atmosphere. You can no longer feel the space atmosphere. But outside that drum that you sealed yourself, we become now in a quantum state. Maybe anybody who goes to space to see that drum will no longer see it as a drum. They might see it as a wave. Just like we see in our Milky Way galaxy, the wave. That's why. Because the planets are in a superposition. Those are the things that we must recognize before we begin to judge whether or that it is gravity. Gravity is not the problem. We don't have gravity. We have motion. We have motion. And now, when we talk about the Isaac Newton's law, if we talk about the Isaac Newton's law, if we want to actually recognize the law of Isaac Newton in the absence of gravity, Newton's law of motion, remember, Newton's law of motion formulated three, fundamental law of motion that describe how object behaves in response to force or forces. And remember that these laws are still applicable regardless whether gravity exists, whether gravity does not exist. Now, the first Newton's law, which talks about the law of inertia. The law of inertia. An object that is at rest will remain at rest. Object that is in motion will remain in motion. Will remain in motion with a constant velocity unless acted upon by net external object. Right? If you are moving in motion like this, you continue to move in motion. You continue to move unless if there is any object that acted upon it that creates friction or collision. This is collision or friction. Friction, which is the brake of your car. Brakes of your car create friction. Collision is in front. So when any object that moves in motion continue to move until there is friction, which is the brakes, or collision, which is the head-on, collision, which will now affect the motion, right? That is what Newton's law says. It is not gravity that caused the collision to kill you or to unalive you inside the car. It is not gravity. It is not as a result of gravity. It is the law of motion. A law of motion that is interrupted by external force. External force is that brake pads that creates friction. External force is that car that ran in front of you that created collision. Those are external force. It is not gravity. And it will basically move you forward, because in a planet Earth there is forward, there is backward, there is up, there is down. It is not acting on any force. It is not acting on any force. It is law of motion. External force that stops it will now make you fly forward. That's exactly one of the Newton's law, and these laws are applicable in an absence of gravity. These laws are applicable in the absence of gravity. The laws are still applicable. So these laws are still applicable. When we go to the second law, Newton's second law, which is the law that talks about F equals ma. When F is the force, then m is the mass and of the accelerating object, which is directly proportional to the net force acting on it and inversely proportional to its mass, even in a gravitational zone or in a free gravity zone. Then the third law, the Newton third law of motion, talks about action. That is, every action has equal and opposite reaction. Every action, if it's going down, any action that will pull it up must act upon it equal and opposite in order to propel it. It must be equal and opposite action. A reaction. It does not need gravity to be acted upon. It does not need gravity to be acted upon. So, the Isaac Newton's law, he actually narrated it or hypothesized it to, it is applicable in a gravity. It is applicable even in a non-gravity, they are all applicable. But Einstein, the wisest man, suggested that the mass of Earth warped the space-time and created something like a tunnel in a space-time. Therefore, everything that goes up falls back down through the tunnel, and it calls it gravity. He called it gravity, which is not true. It is not true. Now, let's give you another example, another typical example with this. This is sealed. Here where I am is bright, right? It is bright. But inside this sealed place is actually nighttime, right? It becomes nighttime because it is dark. It is not exposed to the brightness of my location right now. It is no longer exposed to the brightness of my location because it is sealed off from the brightness. So immediately when I open it, it becomes bright because it is now exposed to the brightness of my, my present, surrounding. But when I close it, it becomes dark inside. That's how everything that is exposed to a particular atmosphere behave differently. But when they are enclosed from that atmosphere, it creates a different, phenomenon. Our planet Earth is a flat plane with a dome that seals it like this. Our planet Earth is a dome, flat plane that is sealed like this. Therefore, we are no longer experiencing space, time, or space itself. We no longer experience the quantum state of the space, which does not have up, does not have down. Now, sealing this makes here inside this, my sealed area behave differently from the environment of the space. Now, sealing this, here becomes up, here becomes down. But in space, if I don't seal it, there is no up, there is no down. If you look up, you look down, they are the same. Look side, look left, they are the same. That's the way it is. So sealing it creates a new atmosphere. Therefore, this will bring us to challenge or to revisit the idea of space mission, because we are sealed off from space. And many may question or many may argue that if indeed we are sealed off from space, why is it that a satellite is moving around our Earth? And I will also ask you, why is it that a plane can travel up there? A plane, aeroplane, can travel up there. Now, this actually brings me to believe that the satellite, is it really satellite, having a free fall, which is constant moving? This actually make me believe that the satellite itself is powered by something. Is powered by something. It is not having a free fall. It is not having a free fall. It can be powered by something, except the higher you go, since the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. Maybe the higher you go, you feel the atmospheric condition of beneath the sea up there. But thank you. It could be the truth, Nkutu Morapela said it's solar powered. Thank you very much. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. No one is floating up there. We are in a closed surface. We are in a closed surface, and the origin of computer depicted it and analyzed it very well. Origin of computer, analog computer. First analog computer depicted it and analyzed it very well, which was used to calculate the lunar cycle. It depicted it and analyzed it very well, that we have a dome on top of us, a dome, that we are in an enclosed surface, which is a flat plane with a bubble, something like a bubble like this on top of it. That's where we live. And this dome is impermeable. It's not, no. Yeah, it is impermeable. This dome, that's exactly the reason why we cannot fly out. No one in this our present generation will tell you that they have gone to see the outside earth. No, it's a lie. It's a lie. It is a lie. You can only do that when you are in astral plane. Maybe you can in astral plane, but not not physically. Because what we see ourselves, we see everything here. But immediately anything that takes you out of this space, believe me, you will not see planet Earth. You will lost in space. You will get lost in space because you will not see planet Earth, because they are in a superposition, neither here nor there. They are neither here nor there. And in space, they are in a, which actually, in what is confusing a lot of people, and many scientists, when they don't understand something, they will construct something that will actually, look like the truth. But they are lying. They are lying. Uncle Einstein, he lied. He lied. And this one, I am 150% sure that Einstein lied in the relativity, in theory of relativity. That's another question. That's another question. Why is space dark when the sun is there? The sun cannot be seen out of space. You can't see these things. You see them in gaseous form. You see them in gaseous form because they are in a quantum state. That's why, okay, example of quantum entanglement is a stargate. Example of quantum entanglement is a stargate, which will enable you to travel, have an instant travel from one realm to another realm. From one realm to another realm. So everything in the reason why we can have this, instantaneous travel is because everything in space is in a quantum state and in superposition, neither here or there. We are a place where distance is not a barrier. It might be years far away from each other, light years away from each other, but distance is not a barrier. There is no up, there is no down. Therefore, you can bend the space-time. You can bend the space-time because everything is like elastic. It's like in a gaseous form. That's why Stargate or portals can take you from one realm to another, because it is like in a gaseous form, like wave conjugation. Wave conjugation, just like our Milky Way. If you mistakenly find yourself out of space right now, You will believe you will see the gigantic earth looking at you. You won't see it. You will not see the gigantic earth looking at you. You will be lost in space. I know that so many of you, when I am saying this, people will start Googling. What we are talking about does not exist in Google. It does not exist in your oracle that enables programming. It does not exist. They will not make it available to you. This is a hypothesis, a realistic hypothesis that is unadulterated. That's what I am giving to you. This is a reality of our universe. So whoever that is painting Earth, outside Earth becomes blue, the other side becomes blue, and the other one becomes brown. Whoever that is painting them, it is imaginary, imaginative drawing. That's what it is. They have never seen anything. Of course, they can go up there, take a picture. What picture are they going to see when they go up there? A picture of, they can see a picture of, unless if they, remember, let's assume that the satellite, that is up, actually, that is in our so-called orbit today. Let's assume that it is taking a picture. How is those satellites taking a picture when even there is, to an extent, you will go with a plane, you will no longer see things on the ground zero, right? If you're traveling on a plane, if the plane go to higher altitude, you will no longer see things on the ground zero. And there is a satellite in our orbit that is taking, that is actually, or is it, it's not necessarily, satellite that that create images of things that is happening across. That means that satellite is not actually far away. It is not basically far away. Just like the balloon. The balloon. Of course, if we haven't seen, there was a time Chinese balloon actually appeared on American airspace. Chinese balloon. So just like the balloon was floating, that's what we call satellite images, right? Balloon. That's what we call satellite images. I don't like to delve into whether they went to the moon or whether they never went to the moon. But today I am categorically telling you that no one has gone to the moon. I've been telling you that they could go to the moon, but I am now telling you that no one has gone to the moon. The moon is in a superposition. So how will they go to the moon? The moon is in a superposition. How will they go to the moon? In 1961, they claimed that the man that broke the barrier to go to space is a man called Yuri. How did he break the barrier? Did he dry up that thing that is up there, the dome? Did he dry it up, or did he? Let me tell you what happens. Most time there has been an experiment to dig a ground, until you get to the earth core, right? There has been an experiment. Do you know what happens? What will happen if you decide to dig a hole to get to the earth core beyond? That hole will eventually start sealing itself, because you cannot dig anything to get to space. It is not possible. It will start sealing itself, because when you start getting to that area, it becomes a gaseous state. It becomes like water. It starts sealing itself, because anything that is outside there, in the outside walls of Earth, or beneath Earth, I wouldn't say the outside the walls of Earth, because there is no outside walls of Earth. What we see, the firmament, there is anything beneath Earth is in a superposition, because there is no up, down, there is no sides. So it does not exist. This world is an illusion. It is a miracle. Like we are living in a miracle world, basically. Imagine inside here we are living, but when you travel from here to here, you will no longer see here. We are here, but when you find a way to go from here to here, you will no longer see here. That's why we see Milky Way. Milky Way shows us that it is in a quantum state and the superposition. It cannot be identified by its position until it is measured. So, how did someone take a picture of Earth? Who took the picture of Earth? Where are they? Who took the picture of planet Earth from outside? That's a lie. And I can bet my life on a chopping block in this theory that I'm giving to you. It is the truth. Space-time cannot be warped. Space-time cannot be, there is nothing that creates a curvature in a space-time. Nothing. Space-time, because weight does not apply. Let me tell you what space-time is like. Let me tell you what space is like. Remember, everything that exists in our universe existed in space first, right? Everything that exists in our universe existed in space first. As what? A liquid, right? Because there is no solid in space. As a liquid or gaseous, look at that. Think about someone telling you that what came out of your stomach, that something that came out of your stomach is now heavy to an extent that when you put it back to your stomach, it makes you now bend like this. You won't be able to stand upright. It bends you because it is heavier than you. It is not possible. How can something that came out of you be so heavy that it warped you? It makes you bend. It created a curvature that you have a hatchback now. No, there is no such. So Uncle Einstein, may your soul rest in peace, but you lied. He lied. There is no such thing like warping the space-time. All those theory of bringing a plastic net or rubber net, putting it on top of a drum and placing a heavy object in the middle and throwing a ball around it and it falls down to the heavy object, they called force of gravity. It is no force of gravity. It is just a motion. It is a natural phenomena. It is a motion. Motion that nothing stops it until there is equal and opposite force that create friction or that act upon it. External force that act upon it stops it. So we do not have gravity. What we have is that we are locked out of the space-time. We are locked out of the space atmosphere, that the earth created its own atmosphere that is full of oxygen, that is windy, that sustains the life, that creates the element that allows us to live. Fire, water, wind, and what again? It is 4 elements, right? It's only applicable on earth. Those things. Applicable on earth. Oxygen we have, it's only here on earth. But it is not there in space. It is not there in space. So since it is not there in space, that means our realm is created and sealed off. That no one goes in, no one goes out. The Anunnakis never came from up, they came from the sea gate, ocean gate, the Anunnaki, because no one can go out. No one goes out. If you go out, you get lost. If you find your way to get, to get out of Earth, you get lost. Other than finding your way, the reason why you can go out through the sea gate, it is because going out, there is still firmament that protects you above on the surface of the sea. There is still firmament, there is still things that protect you from the effect of, the space condition. So when you go through the sea gate, probably using submarine or submersible, you never know. So using it, you exit planet Earth to another realm, because you are not exposed to the space atmosphere. You will never be exposed to the space atmosphere. Never. That's how it works. So whoever that tells you they are going to Mars, they're not shooting up. If they want to go with rocket and land somewhere, maybe they land somewhere in another in those area that is unexplored by human, by every human. Maybe they go with their rocket. Instead of going up, they are going here, north. Head north or head south, straight until they get there. They take their submarine and they exit the gate from. There might be even a gate from the dry land. There might be a gate from the dry land. Or there might be a stargate in Antarctica that takes you to other realm. There can be a stargate in Antarctica that takes you to other realm. That's why I say stargate creates quantum entanglement. Stargate is a typical example of quantum entanglement. Just like we may understand that out of space, we are like in a gaseous form. Now, so that gaseous form, what Stargate does is that Stargate, instead of you traveling as far as like this from here to here, Stargate bend the time. Stargate bends the time. So this becomes the gate. This becomes the gate. From one end to another. You are no longer going here. You go here. Quantum entanglement. It connects these two planets together. That once you go through this hole, you get into the other planet. Without flying up, because you cannot fly up. They say we are 16 kilometers from space. No, we are probably 16 kilometers from where, 16 kilometers. 16 kilometers, probably 16 kilometers from where their satellite is, where they call space, beneath the firmament. Beneath the firmament. And I can tell you that they haven't gone to the moon. They have not gone to the moon. The things that holds this, that the moon, understanding what is superposition, understanding what is quantum, state, understanding that, you will know that they might not know where the position of the moon. You might see it, but you don't know the position, because it is neither here nor there. It exists in different places. When something is in a superposition, it can exist here, 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 here. It can exist everywhere. Until they are measured, you will not know the actual position of it. 16 kilometers from space. That is 16 kilometers from where their balloon is. 16 kilometers from where their balloon is. That's exactly what, if really what you are saying is the truth, because I don't need to measure how many kilometers from here to space, because it does not make sense. No one goes to space. No one goes there. It doesn't make sense. And to actually, they say after 16 kilometers, force of gravity doesn't apply. There is no force of gravity. They call that one microgravity up there. They call it microgravity. There is no gravity. Once you are enclosed from the space-time, it creates up and down. It creates up and down because you are enclosed from space-time. So the space, the behavior of things in space does not apply inside enclosed surface or inside enclosed area. That's what happens. It's no longer applicable. That's why if you jump up, you fall down, because the buoyancy, or maybe I know buoyancy has to do with liquid and and the density, but we can call it things that makes you float. It's no longer applicable on Earth because it is closed off. It is closed off. It created different atmosphere, which is up and down, which does not exist in space. Up and down does not exist. Side to side does not exist. Everything is the same. So no matter what you place in space, it does not bend the space-time. It does not warp the space-time. It does not create curvature in space-time. There is nothing that creates curvature in space-time, just like Einstein suggested. Nothing. Nothing that comes out of your stomach that will be heavier than you. Nothing. Everything that is a solid today, they existed as a gaseous state. They existed as a gas or a liquid before they become solid. So, out there, they're basically like gas or liquid. Here, they can be solid. They can be solid. I know that this my hypothesis will not even go for it to peer review. Do you know the reason why it will not go there? It will actually be a bad business for many things. NASA, number one, NASA. It will be a bad business for them. My hypothesis. And any reasonable person that is here will understand such hypothesis, the importance of such hypothesis. Because if we want to actually, but if you have a question about the hypothesis, you can write it. I'm reading your comment. If you have a question, you can write it. I will answer you. If we want to actually, talk about this in the ancient, philosophy, or in the ancient belief, rather, the Egyptians, who created the first analog computer, who taught the Grecians, including mathematics, they knew that our realm is a flat plane that is enclosed by the dome. And the only reason why I believe that heliocentric model came into the picture was to undermine the wisdom of the ancients. To undermine the wisdom of the ancients in order to create a new power. To create a new power. And to undermine the initial. That's exactly what they were able to do, and it worked for them in 16th century. That's the only reason why they did it. And that's the reason why they can come out without actually blinking their eyes to tell you that the ancient people were naked, that the ancient people were not actually wearing clothes. If it is possible, they were going to tell you that in the ancient days that we used to jump from one tree to another like some monkeys and baboon. And that's why many African people today, when you look at them, they tell you that we are moving with time. What time are you moving with? Because they are made to believe that what you had in the past is inferior, that what you have here given to you by the new power is superior, that you never had before. But this new power, how you will catch them is that, why do they want to go back in time? Why? Because they do not understand dark matter, which we in the past understood dark matter. We in the past were able to create portal without colliding any, without having a hadron collider. We in the past were able to do time travel. We in the past were able to create, to teleport, creating quantum entanglement. We in the past did it. So if we in the past did all that, that means we in the past worked with dark matter. And dark matter is what the superior, is what actually, the source used to design the universe. Dark matter, dark force, or they call it dark energy. They tell you it is evil today because we in the past were able to, make use of it. That's why it becomes evil. You see, the reason why I told you that darkness is actually closer to God than light, because anything that illuminates is actually secondary, but darkness is primary. But that darkness, dark matter, dark force, it requires a lot of principle. It has a lot of laws because it backfires immediately. It has something to do with quantum metaphysics. It has something to do with that. Now, it does not, the consequences of dark matter, dark energy, actually you can't play with that. You can play with atom. You can play with atom, but you cannot play with dark matter. Because this dark matter you see, it's like what they call witchcraft. Witchcraft. That's why they made you believe that African system of, belief system, or African, traditional religion. That's why they made you believe that it is so evil and archaic. Because they make use of dark matter. They made use of dark energy, which the heliocentric model cannot make use of this dark energy because they cannot understand it. And that's why they will never, tell you that what our system and our technology in the past, is basically overly advanced than the one we have here. Do you know who taught us this technology in the past? Who taught us the technology in the past were the advanced being. Advanced being. We're not talking about Nephilims, Anunnakis. We're not talking about them. Because those ones, they came to corrupt the code of earth. They came to corrupt the code of earth. They are called the Nephilims, the Anunnakis. That's what they came to do. They corrupted the code of earth. In the ancient time, we in the past used to communicate with what we call the angels today. It is called the advanced being. It was called the advanced being. We in the past communicate with them. We in the past did things that cannot be understood here in present time. Yet, this baby technology of the present time made you believe they are the ones who gave we in the past, who created the stepping ladder, which they are using to climb. They gave us clothes to wear. We were jumping from one tree to another, wearing, Adam, where are you? I am naked. That's what they want us to believe that we were. Adam, where are you? I am naked in the bush, jumping from one tree to another. Every time is a tea time. That was the belief system that came with heliocentric model, which made the flat earth that is enclosed surface become a ball with an open surface. That made Einstein to say the mass of the ball warped the space-time, which he called it four-dimensional space-time. That he warped the space-time, which is the one creating a gravity that what goes up comes down, which we in the past are in the future now to correct, to tell you that the mass of Earth is not applicable in space-time. Nothing, weight, mass, nothing is applicable in space because everything came from space. What you vomit cannot make you, actually cannot be heavier than you. What came out of you can never be heavier than you. So, the mass of Earth does not warp the space-time because there is no mass in space. There is no weight in space. There is no up in space. There is no down in space. It is like taking a building and planting it on a ground zero. It stays. Nothing moves it. That's the way it is in space. Because there is no up and down. In a quantum state, that's what happens. Therefore, the existence of gravity is a construct actually created by those of Einstein and those believers of heliocentric model in order to undermine the ancient wisdom and ancient philosophers and ancient science. That's what they did. And they call gravity. Because immediately when they mention gravity, we will agree that no, we are no longer living on a flat surface, which is the reality of our existence, because they have mentioned gravity. Because of course, flat surface, if there is a downward force, the downward force can collapse the flat surface to implode. You see, downward force can collapse it to implode. That's why they created to call it a ball, three-dimensional ball, upside and down, so that when we talk about gravity, it keeps it in the orbit. Gravity does not exist. What exists is magnetic force exists, and motion exists. Motion is not a force, but motion exists, which is motion when you throw something up, it's a motion. If there is no equal and opposite force that holds it up, it must come down because it belongs down. It belongs here. We are not living in space-time. We are not living in space. we have up and down here, which is not applicable in space. The same way when you go in underwater, you are no longer living in our atmosphere, therefore there will be no oxygen for you. There will be no oxygen for you. It is like when you go underwater, someone will say that there is a force that is acting upon you that does not enable you to inhale or to breathe underwater. Is it a force acting upon you that will not enable you to breathe underwater? There is no force. You cannot just breathe underwater because it is not a place for you. Up there is not a place for you. Down here is a place for you. So if you jump up, you come down. If you go underwater without oxygen, you cannot breathe, but you can exhale. That's the way it is. If you go to enclosed atmosphere, you behave differently. Therefore, anything that I put inside my hands and hold it tight, that it is no longer exposed to the atmosphere of Earth like this. It is no longer on Earth. It will not behave like things inside Earth because it is no longer exposed to the wind, to the atmosphere, to oxygen of Earth. It is no longer exposed to that. Now it will create its own atmosphere. The same way we are enclosed from space, we don't have access to space. So there is nothing that will make us float. So now emotions applies. Motions, you jump. Motion of jumping, you go down unless if there is external force that holds you up. That means you stay up. External force like aerodynamic, that's the only thing that holds you up. You stay up. If there is no external force, you are coming back down where you belong. Because we belong on the ground zero of Earth. We are not there. So nothing is pulling you down. It is a natural phenomenon. What goes up must surely come down. It is not gravity that's pulling it down. Because gravity is a lie created to actually support their a lie created to support their heliocentric model. That is gravity, what they call gravity. It doesn't exist. I know people who are overly educated, or rather overly indoctrinated, will be looking for it in the mainstream. Because if the mainstream does not tell them that, they will never believe. They don't want to believe that they went to school for nothing. Of course, you went to school for nothing. That's why you don't have a job. That's why you cannot employ people. You are looking for employment because you went to school for nothing. If you went to school for something, you should be a CEO of a company that is inventing something. Now you go to school. I am not asking you not to go to school because there is something I learned in school. How to relate with other human beings. That gathering in school, you learn good, you learn evil. From other children, you learn how to relate with other children. You learn how to communicate, especially in primary and high school. Those are what I call, education. Other than that, those other things are indoctrination. So what I call, you learn how to relate with them. You learn how to, be in a society, something like that. So learn how to coexist with other children. But it does not mean that going to school makes you to be a successful person, because they say education is the key. It is only this education system that when you finish or grab the key, you will never find a lock to open to your success, because it is indoctrination. They are lying to us. And it is high time we change those, construct that makes us spend all our parents' hard-earned money. Sometimes 17 years, 15 years, going to school, 13 years, coming out with nothing. And someone who never even went to high school or who does not have matric will be the one giving you a job, a PhD holder. No, weigh it in a scale. Then tell me, is education the key? Education is supposed to be the key, but not the education of indoctrination that gives you white collar or 9 to 5. That's what we are trying to actually change. We must change it, and we can only change it by creating our own hypotheses. Of course, those who might peer review our hypotheses, remember, they are biased. They are biased. They are uninformed, but bittered that they are uninformed. That's one thing. They will never, positively give you what you deserve, the credits that you deserve. Likewise, so many of us here might not give this hypothesis the credit it deserves because it is not coming from the mainstream. It is not coming from that conventional curriculum that you actually use in your school model. It is not coming from there. It is not found on Google. That's why you will not give it credit. And the worst part of it, it comes from a black man. That's why you will not give it credit. It comes from darkness. And darkness is evil. Darkness is failure. Darkness is everything that fails. But I am here to tell you that darkness is God. Darkness is God. It is the only thing that is not created. But everything came out of it. Every color, every hue came out of black, came out of darkness. That's it. That's why you might not believe it. And I am not expecting you to believe me. I'm expecting you to stop believing in the mainstream, go into an in-depth research and experiment, question all these laws of motion, theory of relativity of Heisten. Start questioning them, start researching deeper, start doing something. Because those people who created these laws of physics, or laws in physics, they are human beings like you and I. Theologians are supposed to be like physicists, because in the past, the ancient scientists are more of theologians today, are more like theologians today. The ancient scientists, they behave like theologians today. That's why, there is this young man that, I never agreed with him, but there is something he said about Oracle. There is something he said about Oracle that I agree with him, which is a computer, program. There is Oracle, and Oracle has information. Oracle is something that has information that actually, translate knowledge. Oracle is actually translate information. Now, we have the Oracle in the past are like what we call theologians today. That's why I call them the scientists. Theologians are scientists in the past. But today, theologians are made separate. Scientists are made separate. The reason is that theologians will be indoctrinating us in their own way, teaching us the book upside down. Scientists will be creating hypotheses that undermines the ancient, belief system or ancient reality, So when you combine both of them, education system is indoctrinating you, giving you a weak knowledge plus lies. When you combine this together on one brain, on this one brain of ours, it makes us crazy. It makes us crazy. You see, I am going deep and deep and deep, and we are going to manufacture, we are going to invent technology using this platform, and we are going to watch this technology that we are going to invent using this platform for you to know that every technology that ever existed came from the ancient knowledge, or people who tapped into the ancient knowledge, and at the end of the day, after tapping into this ancient wisdom or knowledge, because they have no money to finance their theory, or to bring their theory to life, to practicalize it, someone can steal that theory. Someone can steal it and make use of them. Tomorrow they will tell you, Wright brothers invented aeroplane. Wright brothers invented aeroplane. Aeroplane that existed in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet. Wright brothers now invented it. Think about it. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. It is your, intellectual property. It is easy for someone to take my hypothesis because I am nobody, right? It is easy for someone to take it to peer review, listening to it. People who are intelligent take it for peer review, and if it passes, it will be seen that Mr. Greg hypothesis on gravity and the flat earth model passed the peer review and is now going to be included in our education system. It will no longer be Mr. Judge Money. Do you know that? That's the way it works. That's the way it works. But when we don't have leaders who can actually relate with us, we share it openly. It doesn't matter. But what I can tell you categorically is that this hypothesis I gave to you is the reality of our existence. The reality of our existence. And there is no two ways about it. There is no two ways about it. Let me, actually bring this, hypothesis. Listen and listen attentively so that you will understand this hypothesis. Let me actually bring it accordingly, the way because I have documented it. I have documented this hypothesis. I did not just think about it. I have written it down. I have documented them. Now, but let me read it for you. And how, because I actually made it ready that it can actually go for peer review. Listen. Okay, my hypothesis, incorporating my ideas about the dome or firmament and the flat earth perspective. Then, hypothesis on gravity and space-time. I propose that the curvature of space-time as described by Einstein's theory of general relativity is not actually a curvature, but rather a dome or firmament that encloses a flat earth. This dome limits our perception and experience of space-time. Here is my reasoning. Number one, dome instead of curvature. Instead of a curvature caused by a mass of the earth, we should view this phenomenon as a dome-like structure that confines our experience, this dome represents the boundaries of our understanding, preventing us from fully perceiving the cosmos. Number 2, flat earth model. This hypothesis aligns with a flat earth perspective, suggesting that our concept of up and down are created in the absence of true space-time due to influence of the dome. Number 3, in quantum nature of space, I suggest that the space itself exists in a quantum state where traditional concepts like mass and weight may not apply. In this view, space might be more like a liquid or buoyant medium, dynamic and flowing, rather than a rigid framework. Number 4, re-evaluating gravity. Accepting the dome-like structure challenges the traditional understanding of gravity instead of seeing it as a fundamental force. Sorry about that. We might view gravity as a construct, an explanation for natural phenomena that we do not fully understand. Number 5, alternative explanation. That is number 5. This hypothesis will encourage exploration of alternative explanation for how objects behave. Now, invite us to think outside conventional scientific framework, which it suggests that our environment shaped by this dome influence our understanding or reality. Number 6, the philosophical implications of my hypothesis. Okay, thank you very much, user. My hypothesis challenges us to reconsider the nature of knowledge and how scientific paradigm can limit our understanding. It suggests a need for continuous exploration of new insight beyond what is currently accepted. In summary, I propose that our perception of gravity and spacetime is shaped by a metaphorical dome created by the flat earth, which limits our understanding of universe. This invites further discussion and exploration of alternative viewpoints, encouraging us to question established scientific theory. By doing so, we may uncover deeper truth about the nature of reality. That is my hypothesis. That is, Andrea said, this old news, flat earth. Flat earth is old news. Of course, it is old news. That is the reality. It is not just old news, it is reality. But this is a new hypothesis that enables you to understand our existence in a flat earth. It is not just flat earth, it is hypothesis that actually, made gravity non-existent. Because, like I said before, if the introduction of gravity is just to undermine the flat plane, the flat surface where we live, because if gravity exists, what happens to the flat surface? There is possibility that the gravity will actually implode it, will make it collapse. It might implode because gravity is a downward force, right? But it doesn't exist. It is a construct to promote the globe, metaphorical globe Earth. The theory of globe Earth, that's exactly what it is. You say, no, it's because people used to think you sail off the edge. If Earth, I don't know, you didn't finish your, your sentence. You say people would think you sail off the edge of Earth, the edge of Earth. No. Right. The most important thing is that whether we are living on a flat plane, you should understand that we continue to expand. The universe is expanding. As we are sitting here, the universe is expanding. The plate tectonic is happening. It continues to expand. That's why it is also written in some religious book that it has no beginning, it has no end, because it continues to expand. The old theory we are talking about, the old theory we are talking about is basically the reality which of the ancient people knew about it before the new science, who claim that the ancient people are based on philosophical evidence or philosophical understanding of this model, that they are not based on with scientific evidence. Now you ask them, this scientific evidence, where does it come from? Where does this scientific evidence come from? Because whenever you try to actually make a progress, the next thing they will tell you, there is no scientific evidence. What is scientific evidence, if I may ask? Experiment, right? Those scientists, did they go out of space to know what's going on there? No, they never went out of space. They use exactly the knowledge made available by the ancient people. They revolutionized it in a lie, and they presented it back to us. Created their own hypothesis, constructed lies, and actually implemented it in our education system. That's why we have a globe Earth today. And many people are believing that we are living in a three-dimensional globe Earth, upside down. When we are living in a flat surface, the surface is two-dimensional, length and width. Including time in dimensions, third dimension. Past, present, and future. Consciousness create 5 dimensions. So, whether it doesn't matter whether it is an old story, but this is. But my hypothesis, you can't find it anywhere. Search everywhere, you will not find this particular hypothesis on gravity, on gravity. But flat Earth, we know that people who knew that we are living in a flat Earth actually exist. But my hypothesis on gravity, you will not find it anywhere. My hypothesis suggests that we, outside space, everything there is in a quantum state and in superposition. Have you ever heard that before? Now, spatial coordinate is logical visual. You can't study gravity without combining space and time. That's true. You cannot study gravity without combining space and time. That's why I actually talk about space-time. Because in space, outside our Earth, outside the walls of the firmament, there is no up, there is no down. And there is nothing that can create a curvature, nothing that can create a curvature in space. Everything came from there. Nothing can create a curvature in space. But immediately that anything that is existing in space, if you close it up the same way that if you go into a tank and lock yourself up, you are no longer in our realm, because you can no longer receive the oxygen that comes naturally. You are in a different realm. Once you are closed up in a place where there is no oxygen, you are in a different place. You are no longer in planet Earth. Therefore, you behave differently. You can suffocate. The same applicable to when you close something away from space. Just like our planet is closed off from space, which creates up and down, which does not exist in space, which create mass, create weight, create other forces that does not exist in space, because it's a different realm. Which other planet is round, if I may ask? Which other planet is round, if I may ask? Because you are asking me, why are the other planets round? Which other planet is round, my dear? Is it the sun or the moon? Those things illuminate. The sun is a plasma. And the sun is basically also in a quantum state. So, not necessarily what you see is what you get. But let's hold it this way in a very simple way. Pluto, Saturn. Pluto, Saturn. Have you ever seen the picture of those planets? Or these things this image that is designed that we are shown, the same way the image of Earth is designed and we are shown. Okay, while we are at that, let me show you this. Let me quickly show you this. While we are at it, because I know you believe in this. Do you know what is this? Do you know what does this mean? Andrea, do you know what is this? Those images, those are the people drawing images, creating images. Look at this. Look, these are many planets, including Nibiru. It is not shown as a globe. They are all shown as a flat plane. Look at planet Earth, the middle, the mother. Here, it is the mother of all the planets, because the expansion of planet Earth actually created many other planets. But they will tell you that it is the dust and gas that creates planets. Dust and gas that comes from where? Whenever there is a plate tectonic, what happens? Expansion of Earth. An expansion of Earth, this is Earth in the middle, if it expands to this, if there is a plate tectonic that shifted Antarctica from Africa, shifted India from Africa in Pangaea map that is actually up to 1 billion years, when it shifted them, what if it shifts them off the walls? Where do they go? Where do they compact? Those are the questions we need to ask. It is a very simple question. Now, let me show you something else. Let me show you all these planets you call Saturn and all these things. They are all over here. They are all over here. Now, I believe Nibiru, where they've called heaven, is this one. Nibiru. Where they called heaven, they say those who came from heaven to earth. I am not saying Nibiru is heaven. It is not heaven. But they say those who came from heaven to earth, which is here. And they are not up there. They are on the same position as our planet Earth. Expansion of this planet Earth gave birth to this, gave birth to the rest of them, because the more it is expanding, the more it creates ocean. The more it is expanding, the more it creates ocean. That's why you see planet Earth is in the middle. It is in the middle. So expansion of it gave birth to many planets we see here. And those planets continue to expand also and move themselves through a plate tectonic. Now, is there, and all of them are in the, within, there is, it is not as if that some of them are up and some of them are down. No. What we see up there as light is the reflection of those planets. Those are what we see up there. So now let me show you something else. Look at this. Look at this. What you see here, what you see here is the first ice wall, which is planet Earth. First ice wall. Expansion of this planet Earth, which created the rest of them. This one, this one, this one, here, and that one. There are 7 planets, actually, or are there 6 here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 here. But many people might see it as expansion of Earth, or they might call this place unexplored landmass of Earth, where the gods are staying. And look at it. Look at this. Did you see a gate? Did you see a gate? And remember, in that place where you see a gate, it is Ocean Gate. Look at that. Ocean Gate. You go here, you see another gate. It is Ocean. Ocean Gate. Did you see another gate? Ocean Gate. So, Bermuda Triangle might be one of the gates. And in Antarctica, there must be one gate. Within that region, there must be another gate that leads you to another realm. So there is nobody flying up there. Up there is an illusion that they created every time people are flying rocket. Earth is flat. You can see it yourself. Earth is flat, covered with a dome. Covered with a dome. And this dome, it is like when you dig deep into this dome, it heals itself. It heals itself. Do you know the reason why it heals itself? Because if you dig the ground, like let's say you start digging a hole, to dig it till you get to space, right? You might never get there. Do you know why? Because at some point you will be digging into, like, it's like taking your fingers and digging it into a foam. You dig your finger into a foam. What does it do? It just stays the same. Dig it deep. It does not make a hole. It closes itself. Because out there is a quantum state. Out there is like a gaseous form. It is not what we see as solid here that we will see out there. That's why you will understand out there with the Milky Way. How you might understand out there. How we can understand out there. It is the Milky Way. Have you seen how it looks? I know it is expanded. It is expanded. So out there is what we see is not what you are not seeing a solid. When you go out there, you are not seeing a solid out there. You are going to see probably a wave conjugation, a wave, which in quantum mechanics, if you know these waves, you will find out that they are not just in a quantum state, but they are in a superposition. Look at that. So that's exactly how it is. That's how it is. And they continue to tell us that planet Mars is uninhabitable. But planet Mars is made, you might find planet Mars like a advanced technology, advanced building. You might find it so beautiful than even planet Earth. People are creating walls all over the place, making their home maybe in planet Mars. When the war set up, they just exit with their submarine. You never know. No, there is war all over the place. When when they create Armageddon, they will run away. Ordinary people will bear the brunt of what these few individuals they have created for us, because we cannot talk, we cannot question the status quo. We are so blind to see that we are being fooled. We are so blind to see that we are being lied to. We are so blind to see that few individuals are like God over billions of people. Think about it. God over billions of people. Because what we call God is a being, not a higher power. Higher power cannot be equated with God. God is something. I am God, you are God. You can procreate. You can invent something from scratch. So you are God. Anything that you create can call you God, or may call you God. So the source of creation is undermined. There is something that we do not understand. Darkness is part of the source. Darkness, not light. Light is created. Light is artificial. Darkness is natural. It existed before all of them. Now, there are dark angels. These dark angels we talk about, they are more superior than light angels. But the people who knows them worship them. The people who knows them walk with them, pray to them. And the people who supposed to know them more reject them. I'm casting and binding them in the name of Jesus. So this is exactly what they have created, how they have made it to be, how they have created and shaped our mind to be like. And we are buying their stories. That's why as we are heading to the fourth generation, if we go to religious understanding, we talk about fourth generation, the forgiving generation, fifth generation, the renewal generation. When we come to metaphysics, we call them the five dimension, the time of renewal, the time of awakening, the time of knowing, the time of realizing. That's where we are heading. And that's why we are able to give out this information. And you can as well go out there and look for truth. It is on the surface, waiting for you to come and grab it. But this platform, we are going to innovate something. We are going to invent something. It doesn't matter what, but we are going to invent something that is tangible for you to know that once you are awake, once you actually transcend indoctrination, you will have access to knowledge that you seek. And the first thing that you will actually do to transcend indoctrination, question everything that the mainstream provide. Question them. Research, go into in-depth research independently. That's how we can actually come back or transcend the indoctrinated materialistic world. If we understand what we look like out of space, if we understand what we look like out of space, anybody who knows how to do out-of-body experience, just go out of space. Maybe you will see what we look like from there. Maybe you will understand what we are talking about, that no one has been there. Yes, you will understand that no one has been there. You will see that we are in a gaseous state. There is no solid. How do then they see the circle earth, the flat, how will they see? There is no solid. Understand the quantum mechanic. What we have out of space is what we call spiritual, Holy Ghost fire. That's what we have out of space. All these things, Holy Ghost fire, every spirit of this, spirit of that, that's what we have there. It is not like what we have here, you are seeing me, I'm seeing you. No, it is not like that there. All these images that we are shown is basically a lie. A lie. Anyone can wake up and create image. Just like this. To show you, but we can use this. We can use this. The one that I wanted to show you, I can't find it. This is what they want us to believe. Globe Earth. Globe Earth. That's what they want us to believe. Now, if you what I want to show you. This is the one I want to show you. The globe Earth. And you see how they position us up there. This is how they position us up there. But this exactly depicts that. Tomorrow we are Earth is, this is what they are depicting in that globe. That's exactly what they are depicting. I'm going to show you, do some experiment to show you exactly what it means to, what, okay. A very simple, analogy. Think about it in the perspective of you having a building map. If you have a building map, the map will actually show you the size of the foundation, the size of the structure, the positions of the structure. The map will show you everything. Is it possible that you will build a map, you will create a building plan a building plan or a building map, and you go and build out, something that does not fit the building plan, are you going to accept it when you give an engineer a building plan and they go and build something that does not actually, correspond with the building plan? Does it make sense? Will you accept it? No, you wouldn't. Now, let's go there. Look at the flower of life. Just position, okay, let me pull it up. I think I have. Look at the flower of life here. You know what is this? Look at this. It is a circle. This circle here, what you see here, the circle depicts the foundation of planet Earth, of the planet in our universe. You see the circles, all of them. You see all of them. The circles. You look at that map of the universe that I showed you earlier, then if you scatter this, if you have a plate tectonic on this flower, you'll find out that they will all shift and become a planet. Now, before the tectonic, there is Pannonia map, there is Gandur map, or is it, what do you call it? Something like that. There is also Pangea map. Before then, every planet was intertwined like this. Of course, every planet were close to each other before they started moving. If not, those maps represent the planet Earth. Every continent were attached to Africa. They were all together with Africa. Even Antarctica did not go across the Southern Ocean. It was within Mozambique, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Madagascar. Even connected to Australia, India. Then there is, from South America, there is this tunnel. There is this tunnel that connects back to Antarctica. They were all cleaved to Africa, like tight to Africa, before they began to move. Think about flower of life, how they are before you begin to move them. I've done that theory before. Think about the way they are together before you begin to move them. This is the map of creation, right? What you see is the map of creation, map before creation. Now look at the flower inside here. You see the flower? There is always a center. If you see your wall clock, you see where my finger is, right? That is where you see the center of your wall clock, which depicts the realm that the wall clock is calculating the time of the realm. Because the realm where the wall clock is calculating the time, the wall clock must look like the realm. The wall clock must depict that realm where it is calculating the time. So look at this circle. It is our flat plane that expands. The flat plane that expands, look at the flower, represent us that is planted in the map. Look at it, the flower, the life that is planted. Look at these places that look like vertices. You will see it is like the law of nature that can never be broken. The law of nature that can never be broken. Of course, you find technology. You find the importance of microchip, which bring equanimity to every motherboard. Look at that. So how can God draw a plan like this, a map like this, and later God began to give us, is he began to give us things that looks like this. How can he be confused? He can't be confused. Look at that. Give us a ball when he gave us a flat surface on the map of creation. It doesn't make sense. They make it make sense. The flower of life is the map of creation. The map of creation. Everything within it is something like this up there, looking over you. Looking over you, right? Because people will continue to ask, why is it that the moon, because when they look at the moon and the sun, they will tell us that we are living in a globe. Look at the moon, look at the sun. Those are artificial because they illuminate. They were made. They were made. That's why your globe must be round. Even if it is not round, it will never be flat. Your globe will never be flat. It will be round. The globe that gives you light at home, the light bulb, it must be like globe because it illuminates, right? It's a light. There is elements there. There is tiny elements there. Those rings, if they are exposed to our atmosphere, because those things are actually delicate and so tiny, it will fuse them. So that's why they are sealed off. They are actually, they are light. They bring light. Illuminate is actually light. Sometimes I will make mistake. I say illuminate light, because whatever I do, I basically want everyone to understand what we're doing. So if it's either I say they illuminate or they bring light. So they are actually the same thing. So that's why the globe you see, they are round because the rings inside there, those elements inside there, they cannot be exposed to our atmosphere. It will actually fuse them. That's why immediately a globe is cracked. When you put it on, it fuse immediately. Because it must be enclosed. It must be enclosed for it to illuminate. It cannot be exposed. It cannot be exposed. So, the same way our earth is closed down for us not to be floating, so that we will walk up and down and go to our day-to-day activities instead of floating on air. Imagine us floating on air. We are forcing ourselves now to go down. No. So the higher power is very articulative, very intelligent, made everything to come at its own season, created it perfect. We are destroying the creation. And the more we are indoctrinated, the more we are destroying the creation. But this is where we are going to leave it. Probably we are coming back tomorrow because we need to also delve deeper into this understanding how we in the past made the use of dark matter, how they have revolutionized we in the past ideology and incorporate them and use computer language to actually define them, that we may not understand that it was the work of we in the past that they are repeating. It's a lot of things they've done that they are repeating them. Some of them, they do not understand them. They actually lie about them. That's the problem. They do not understand some of them, but they are repeating them, lying about them, so that we may not understand. Because when we see the truth, we will recognize them. It is just when you see that truth, you recognize it. A sign of the truth, you recognize it, because these things were told by you and me in the past. That's why we can still recognize them today. But when we begin to undermine ourselves and call ourselves archaic, because that's what they called us, archaic, thinking. When we join them to call ourselves in the past archaic, it means that we will continue to go further away from the knowledge that they are sitting on and enjoying and lying to us through their indoctrination. Exactly, they want to go back in time to learn more from us in the past. Remember, they want to go back in time to learn more from us in the past. Imagine the Pyramid of Giza. If the ancient people, if we in the past were archaic, just like they presented to be, how then, if we do not know the positions of the celestial bodies in the past, how then are we able to build the Pyramid of Giza? Remember, the Pyramid of Giza, aligning with the constellation of the stars. Do you think we are stupid? We don't know how our realm is. We don't know the celestial bodies, their positions, but we are able to build a pyramid that is able to align with the constellation of the stars. Make it make sense. That someone come and call you and me in the past who did all that archaic, that you couldn't afford to wear clothes. You are jumping in a tree. When you tell people that this technology, the pace this technology is going, they will tell you, an ancient person will tell you, do you want to go back to time where you will be jumping on the tree without wearing clothes? And every time becomes a tea time. Think about them. It doesn't make sense. They want us to believe that we are inferior, we the ancients, that we are inferior. But we can never be the inferior. We are. They are because we are, or they are because we were. If we are not, they will never. If we never showed them the way of science in the past, they will never know. And they will never. Actually, it's just that we discontinued from our heritage. We discontinued from our heritage. Even the Bible talks about it. We discontinued from our heritage. Because those who are supposed to be the real people, the real scientists, the real priest, what we call priest today, are the people who are supposed to know what I am talking about today more. But they went to theology created by this new generation. Theology to learn how to lie and receive crowdfunding. To learn how to lie and indoctrinate people to think in a certain way, to think that everything that they used to know is witchcraft and evil. But the one they are given is now perfect and godly. That's what they did to us. And until we unlearn, until we learn, until we continue to learn, do our independent research, stop believing in the mainstream, we are not going to get there. All the modern medicines is basically taken from herbs. From herbs. All of them. All of them. Herbs. Roots. Except if the ones they create to use it to unalive people. We showed them these things. Why do you think they took away the artifacts? So that it would take us billions, hundreds of years to remember. But we are getting there. That's why we can recognize. All you need is to wake up from sleep. You are sleeping. If you wake up from sleep, things will make sense. Things will definitely make sense. The miracle they tell you that Jesus did, it was not just miracle, it was science. And that's why I question the path. Okay, that's when I understand the path that they say there will be no priest to me, because all the priests are now theologians. Instead of being the priest that they're supposed to be, they become theologians, receiving crowdfunding. They are no longer the priests that teach us about these things we are talking about today. That's why you see that place in the Bible that said there will be no priest to me. Most of the time I tell people, don't destroy the book. It was not the book that indoctrinated you. It was people using the book upside down indoctrinated you. And you can find many things to de-indoctrinate yourself from the same book. We discontinued from our heritage. Until we go back to that heritage, we're going nowhere. And discontinuing from our heritage, which made us to start following other gods. Remember that he said, thou shalt not have any other god, because we, the ancient people, already are blessed. We were blessed. We're supposed to believe in ourselves. We're supposed to believe in ourselves, which we are called darkness. We're supposed to believe in our darkness. Right? But we left darkness because we believe that that thing that illuminates is so beautiful. Let's run to there where everything they do becomes beautiful. Even in the cosmic, in the cosmos, there is a war between darkness and light. Are you aware? Even though light came late, darkness was not created. Light was created, because if you read the book, let there be light. There has never been a place where it says, let there be darkness, because darkness was there. Darkness experienced it all. That's why dark matter does not emit light. Dark matter does not emit light. That's why you cannot see them. You cannot understand them. It is only the ancient priests, which are today called the scientists, physicists. They were the ones who knows these things. The ancient priests, not theologians. Theologians are gangs of indoctrinated people who use the indoctrination to make money. That's what they do. By teaching the truth upside down. That's what they do. That's what they do. You say you always wondered why spirits are always water-based. I don't understand when you say spirits are always water-based. It depends on also what you call spirit. It depends on what you call spirit. Because we have spirit in us. We have spirit in us. It is that same spirit when you do OBE. That same spirit is what leaves the body. So we have spirit in us. And the spirit we know mostly does not emit light because it is born of dark matter. That's why you cannot see it. The next person that might be in the room, when you come out of your body, will not see you because you are a spirit, a dark matter. So that's how. So, water base you are talking about, I don't really understand. Water from above as the water below. Okay, remember that water from above signifies the higher power. Now, let me also remind them, those who would think it is the Anunnakis who taught us the knowledge that we knew. It was not the Anunnaki. When you hear about the story of what was that man that was taken by a chariot in the Bible? What was that man? It's a metaphor. What was that man? Was it Enoch? It was Enoch, right? Who was taken, and he was shown all the realms. So if you believe that, if you think that Enoch saw all the realm that is not accessible by human being, Enoch was taken. Is it Enoch? Right. Enoch. Yeah. Now, he was taken to all this realm. He saw all this realm. And someone who was born yesterday will come and tell you that those people who experience this thing firsthand, it is not scientifically proven. It is now we that didn't experience it firsthand. We are now scientifically proving it. Therefore, we have to create a space where when we fly up, no one will see us. We will tell them we have gone to space. Those are constructs. That's exactly what it is. So when we talk about fire and the spirit, it said those who summon spirit use water. Those who summon, it depends on what you call spirit. There are being who can actually, there are who can actually, they are more advanced. They can actually, what do I call it? They can bend space. They can manipulate space and time. They can manipulate space and time. They can be in a superposition. They can be in different places at once. Different places at once. That is what is called superposition. So, those being, maybe if you are able to use, make use of a dark matter, some people can use, there are ingredients that you can use to actually summon them. There are ingredients that you can use to summon them, which you have to also draw a star. It's complicated. I don't get myself involved. Like, there was a time I wanted to get myself involved with that by actually, the time when I got my hands to the 7th book of Moses, not just 7th book of Moses, I got myself to the book that explains the laws and the ingredients that enables you to make use of that, because Moses was a scientist. Moses was a scientist. Likewise, David, the one they call David, Mosaic, or the one they call David, was a scientist or physicist. Likewise, Solomon, the one they call Solomon, was also a physicist. So that's why if you see the book of 6th and 7th book of Moses, you will see what they call Scamophorus, which is where you see the circle of David, the star, they call the Star of David, which represent the Star of Molech. These stars are the stars you use to channel dark energy. Because dark energy, you need to protect yourself. Dark energy, you don't need to make mistake. That's why it's not known to people. It is higher power, or people who are whole and holy. They are the only people, and it was only the ancient people, we in the past, when we were vibrating in higher consciousness. We love each other. We are not envying each other. We were not unaliving each other. We were not thinking of what will unalive the next person. So all these things came with neo technology and and it came with the Nephilims and their aftermath. So these things we were able to do them because we were given a privilege. Remember, dark matter and dark magic, channeling dark matter and channeling dark energy, it is actually, you can channel it to use it to enrich yourself. You can channel it to use it to oppress people. You can channel it to use it to unalive people. So those things, we were given access to it in the past because we were whole and holy. We understood our purpose. Not now. Everything is all about materialistic. It's all about material things. This technology we are using today are actually giving us a artificial food. Why do artificial food that will unalive you, compromise your immune system? So that's what this technology gives us. So until we go back to that, when we will love ourselves, our neighbors as we love ourselves, which is if we understand the importance and the vibration of love, and we know that there is no amount of external influence that will influence us to oppress one another, that is the only time when what we call the interconnectedness of all things will manifest and bring vibration of love, wholeness, and holiness. That's when our eyes will open to that knowledge that we discontinued from. That's when we will make use of dark matter, because the higher source will trust us with dark matter and we will obey the law of nature. Everything they call witchcraft, you will find them manifesting for our good. So that's why they say, I create good, I create evil. Right? I create good, I create evil. That which they call good, you might not distinguish from which one is good and which one is evil. That's why you need to study both to know what is evil and what is good. So until we are made whole and holy, we will not have access to such energy that relate with the source of creation. We will not have access. You remember ancient people, they can actually be in a superposition. You will find your dad, go at the backyard. The next thing, your dad will be in another place, in another province. From the backyard is in another province. Don't you think haven't you experienced that, or haven't you heard about that? Your dad went to the backyard, is in another province. Put himself in a superposition, place himself in different places at once. Because we are vibrating in wholeness and holiness. We discontinued from our heritage, and it takes us like 500 years to realize. Just like 4 generations of the law of Exodus. 4 generations of the law of Exodus. So 4 generations, 500 years, then we begin to remember. Just like we are doing right now, we begin to remember. And we begin to go back gradually. And we begin to promote our truth without fear or favor. Because that's what we need. Promote our truth, but learn how to love. For you to have these things understood, figured out, you must learn how to love. If you don't know how to love, forget it. You're not going to figure it out. You will never. You must learn how to love. The only barrier we have is love and compassion. Because if you don't have love and compassion, imagine if you become God for a minute, like that higher power. If you have that power for a minute, you are going to unalive many people. People who offended you, you will unalive all of them. You must have love, compassion, tolerance before you will become you in the past again. So that if someone actually, piss you off, you look at yourself in the mirror, you look at them, you see yourself in them, knowing that you have this power. If you use it against them, you are using it against yourself. That's when you deserve to have access to such knowledge and such power. Until we meet again. Thank you for joining us. We're going to meet the same time tomorrow. And we're going to continue. I thank you for joining us, the slum. Thank you for your contribution. And our where is this brother is always Shane. Thank you for joining us. And a lot of them. Andrea, thank you for joining us. And who else? Square root of 2. Square root of 2. He's still in the denial. Who else? There is this guy I'm looking for. Red Emal. Thank you for joining us and thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining us. And Pule. Thank you for joining us. And Portia. Thank you for joining us. J. Cole. And all of you, Temban, Jimninsi, Justin. Thank you for joining us. And the brother that is always here, Musa Nyaduko. Thank you for joining us. Nyaduko 099. Thank you for joining us, guys. We have done it for the day. Let us learn how to love. Let us learn how to have compassion. Let us learn to have tolerance. Then we are going to move mountain. That's what we need. Bye for now.